Hello, welcome to everyone's Critic Extended Edition. Today we are talking about Lion, a movie nominated for many Oscars, including Best Picture. I'm Cameron Flatt.
I'm Davis McCondichie.
And I'm Sam Mosher.
And let's get into it.
Yeah.
Initial reactions.
So originally I came in and I didn't really expect much from the movie. I didn't. I was like, I feel like I know what happens. But it still found a couple ways to surprise me. It brought in a little bit of twists and turns, a little bit of more tension than I expected. So I was decently surprised by it, I'd say.
Yeah, I came in, this was one of the very few movies I'd seen a trailer for as far as Oscar nomination, so I already knew the story, but I wasn't expecting it to so heavily focus on the main character as a kid wandering around by himself in Calcutta, and I thought that was actually really well done. That's pretty difficult to get a kid to act so convincingly. It was also very beautifully shot, and like you said, there was actually a lot more conflict than I thought, and it was definitely better than I thought it would be. So.
Oh, yeah.
I had not seen a trailer for this one. All I had known that it was about like a kid who had got lost from his home and then later in life used Google Earth to find where his home was. And so I was initially surprised that half the movie is this character as a child. I thought that was going to be maybe the first third, but it is very much one half. It's him getting lost, and it's kind of the tagline. The first half is him getting lost. Second half is him, he's finding home.
Yeah.
So I liked it. I thought the first half is much stronger than the second, but we can get into that later.
Yeah. So it's nominated for Best Picture. How does it stack up to the other nominations?
It pays me to say it, but I'll be honest, I don't think it should have been nominated for Best Picture. I think there's not many films I don't think should have been in this year's group, but this is one of them. I just don't see anything in the movie that really makes it stand out to me as a Best Picture nominee. When I look at past winners, I just don't see why this movie was in this group. I mean, it's got a lot of accolades. It had a lot of buzz from, I believe, Tribeca, if not the Toronto Film Festival. One of the two gave it a lot of praise, but just to me, it missed that oh man moment that made me think, yeah, Best Picture.
I have to agree with Davis on this one. While I really enjoyed it, I'm glad I saw it. I saw it with my mom, and we both walked away pleased, but it didn't scream Best Picture. And to be much in the same way I felt about Hidden Figures, where I thought it was a great movie, but nothing about it I thought was different. It was definitely kind of had that vibe of the based on a true story structure.
Yeah.
We can't spoil this, by the way. It happened.
Yeah, it's a real thing. I like that point. Every year, a majority of the movies nominated for Best Picture, I'm like, okay, sure, because I like movies that try new things, and a lot of the times, the Oscar films are either only trying one little thing new, or are very, very basic. And this movie isn't really doing anything new, so I would say it's definitely an Oscar film. I'm not surprised that it's nominated for Best Picture, because it is really well made. It's a really well made movie we've seen 100 times. That's an Oscar movie, and I mean, you guys have got it right on the head. And what I would say is this movie would have probably worked better as a documentary with a lot of these shots thrown in as reenactments. I think it would have been great to have the real people talking over what was happening, and that probably would have elevated it quite a bit.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. I completely agree with that. I never thought about that. Because at the end of the movie, they show you the real life people, and there's this touching moment when they meet, and that was the most touching part of the film because it was the real people, and that's like, if they had, oh my God, that's a brilliant point. If they had done that, that would have been tremendous.
Yeah, because obviously they wouldn't have had footage of him as a child, and so I mean that's the strongest point of the movie. So mixing that with kind of the real life counterpart, retelling it. But yeah, Best Picture, I can see why, but not. It's not going to win. It doesn't stack up next to the other nominees.
Okay, so the second half of the movie has a lot more characters than just the little guy. We have Dave Patel, who is the younger version of, what's his name? The main
Saru.
Saru.
Saru. I let you know a dozen times.
Yeah, he's nominated for Best Supporting Actor, even though he's the main character. And Nicole Kidman has a nomination for Best Supporting Actress. What do we think on that?
I'm going to let you go first, Sam, because I got a lot to say
All
on
right,
this.
so this is the first year I've honestly really paid attention to like almost seeing all the movies, being very well informed when I like getting ready to watch the Oscars, and I don't know if this is always the case, but supporting actress, starting with Nicole Kidman, she is not in that movie, hardly at all. Going into it, one of the only things I knew was how high of praise Nicole Kidman was receiving, and while she's great in the scenes she's in, her performance didn't make that much of an impact on me. The strongest scene she shares is, I guess, when Saru first comes into their family and she's telling him how much she loves him, and then when he's an adult and about to leave and she's like, "You'll always be my boy." While those scenes are great, I don't think she'll win compared to Naomi Harris from Moonlight or
Octavia
Spencer, thank you, from Hidden Figures. And then Dev Patel, am I saying that right?
Dev Patel, yes.
Dev Patel. I don't know. I have some qualms with the second half of the movie. I think it's poorly paced in the whole. I think it happens very quickly. His decision it jumps around a lot between him being in college and then him dating Rooney Mara's character, and then he's mad at her and mad at himself. It all happens very quickly. Yeah. And while I think Dev pulls it off, I just can't get over how the character beats are. That while he pulls it off, I think the plot does him a disservice.
I would say this movie probably furthers the stereotype that the Oscar voters really like crying, because I would say that's probably why Dev Patel is nominated, and also Nicole Kidman. I would say the reason she's probably nominated, not that I agree, I would say she's good, but she's not nearly in it enough. She's the scene where Saru, as an adult, has not seen her for a while because he's been obsessed with the Google Images search, or Google Maps search, and he comes back to her and she's like sitting in the room like staring out the window and she cries. And I would say that's probably why that one scene. But yeah, I would definitely say I would have nominated the other woman that's in this movie. It's not Naomi Rapace. It's
Rooney Mara.
Rooney Mara. I always get the two mixed up. Both girls with dragon tattoo. I would say she would probably deserve it over her because she's very convincing love interest, but her own character. But no, I don't think Nicole Kidman has any chance against Naomi Harris. So
I agree Nicole Kidman has no chance to win, but I'd also say that her scenes are the backbone of that film. If she doesn't do them quite right, they're dumb, but I do feel like she overacts them at times. In fact, at one point, she took me out of the film because I knew it was Nicole Kidman acting. Yeah. So I feel like they kind of had to toss someone in at the end, and that's kind of she had. Now, Best Supporting Actor, I have a huge problem with. And let me just start by saying, Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter, was in maybe 10 minutes of the movie. That's why he was Best Supporting Actor that year, because he was in 10 minutes of the movie. Dev Patel's in this for an hour. He's not the supporting actor. He is the main characters you brought up. The Weinstein Company, it's no secret, is in big financial trouble. There's no doubt about that. It's become this huge rumor in Hollywood. They're about to go under at any moment kind of thing. And that may be a little bit, dramatic. It's maybe not completely true, but they are having financial issues. And I feel like this was a complete political move on their part. There is campaigning in the Oscars. There's no doubt about that. But getting him the nomination for Best Supporting Actor there's clearly politicking going on there. The Weinstein Company needs some kind of win to get this film more views so they can get some more money. That's why they politicked for him to be Best Supporting Actor. That's the only reason he is in this category. And he's not even going to win it because it's going to Mosher Ali. He's going to win that.
Yeah. Most likely. No, I definitely see where you're coming from. Even before I saw the movie and I saw that he was nominated, I knew that was an intentional, strategic placement. But moving on, a category I very much care about as a filmmaker myself, cinematography, which I was probably, if any category this movie deserves to be nominated in, is definitely cinematography. It is just a beautifully shot film. And because just the images in this movie are very important that you remember, him, laying on the ground on a piece of cardboard as a little kid, running through the streets by himself, running from, the men trying to abduct him, and you just remember those because they're so well shot. You guys have any disagreements with that or any other points?
What are the other nominees in this category?
Other nominations in Best Cinematography, I know Arrival, which I'm not saying it'll win because it's up against some stiff competition.
Okay. Well, I think I agree with you. I think it's very deserving. Immediately from the moment the movie begins, before you even see the character, where they have, the title and the actors and actresses' names. Speaking of which, if your name is the first one listed, you're probably not the supporting actor. But from the moment the movie starts, you're like, wow, these are beautiful shots. They have these pans over these gorgeous landscapes. And, well, I mean, just because you're filming and you're moving in a beautiful place, I think he does the locales a service, like, he does a great job of making them even more beautiful every place they go, whether that first shot where you see Dev Patel's character, Saru, as an adult, and he's surfing, and, oh, man.
The other nominations include Arrival, La La Land, Moonlight, and Silence, which I would say Arrival is gorgeous. La La Land being the musical that is, that's just how camera placement is very important. And Silence is a Martin Scorsese film.
And Moonlight's opening tracking shot is one of the best pieces of cinema this year. I personally don't think it should have been nominated for Best Cinematography either. While I do agree that it was very beautiful, it was very beautiful shots, but I don't think beautiful shots make Best Cinematography. I think cinematography is meant to advance and give the plot more meaning, and I don't think those shots gave purpose. I think they were just doing some beautiful shots to be beautiful shots. And that's not the entire movie. I don't want to completely discredit it, because there are some shots, those beautiful landscape shots, they do serve purposes at times. There's the shots where he's running through the rock quarry. There's purpose to that. But him and Rooney Mara in the bed, when they're trying to be really beautiful with that, that's meant to invoke a sense of intimacy there, but it's when they're angry at each other. That intimacy that's not what you should be conveying in that moment. And that's just my opinion, of course. That's what this is all opinion. So I just feel like occasionally the purpose of their shots was misled at times, and I feel like they didn't quite hit the mark.
That's a good point, but my mind just keeps coming back to him in the streets by himself as a little kid, and the way it was shot, it felt like a dirty...
I think the opening half. I think the opening half did well, because they did a lot of wide angles on him that really kind of encapsulated the wide openness of the area and the isolation he had.
And also, speaking of that, of the shots they use in the first half, is they really make you feel like you're the kid. You're surrounded by all these. You're in a scary place that you don't know, with people that are bigger than you, and you really felt like you were like in a larger than life kind of scenario. They made like Saru feel small and lost, and I think by at least, and then the second half kind of loses.
That's what I was saying. I feel like it falls apart in the second half.
Yeah, there's definitely almost two different movies here. Another section for this movie that would be considered important would be writing for a Best Adapted Screenplay. For me, I would say that's kind of a strange... I don't say the writing is particularly important to this film. It's more visuals and acting. I wouldn't say that anything but the writing stood out to me.
Can you give us the people competing as well?
Yes, it is again. So I'll have to bring that up here.
Yeah, I'm sorry you have to keep pulling them up. I just want to make sure we know who the field is against them.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Also nominated for Best Adapted would be Arrival, Fences, Hidden Figures, and Moonlight.
Yeah, it's definitely not going this one either. I think it might deserve it. I think the dialogue's good enough, and I think they do a good job bridging the gap between young Saru and older Saru. It's not too abrupt, it flows, so I feel like it's good enough. Is it going to win compared to those others? No. I think Fence's dialogue, literally the entire movie is a play, so it's literally, you're constantly talking. And Moonlight, though it is silent, there's not much dialogue in it, the dialogue's realistic, and there has to be a lot of description that goes into that, I have no doubt. So I feel like the 3-act structure that was written in Moonlight probably will take the cake over Lion.
I would say, I would not say Lion should be nominated at all. There are two films that immediately popped in my head that had incredible writing, that are adapted, that aren't. Deadpool, which was nominated by the Screen Actors Guild, so screenwriters know that the movie was incredibly well written. And also a movie that I was surprised didn't get many nominations, or any nominations, with Birth of a Nation, which I believe was adapted from like a memoir or a biography. And that movie had some great, rousing like speeches and someone talking in a church. I can't think of that word. A sermon? A sermon, yeah. And so I would say those two movies would definitely deserve it over Lion. What do you think, Sam?
I agree. Arrival is dialogue-driven. Fences is dialogue-driven, especially given its play. Lion does not rest on its dialogue to be one of its core tenets. So I would say it doesn't stand a shot.
So the last nomination this one has is Best Original score. Do you guys have any strong opinions on those? It is up against Jackie, La La Land, Moonlight, and Passengers.
Save, you could go first on this one.
Let's be honest, La La Land's gonna take this one.
Yeah.
So, I pay attention to soundtrack a lot more than a lot of things. I'm surprised Manchester by the Sea didn't get nominated on this category. Lion, while I think its score enhances what's going on, it didn't impact me. I don't think it necessarily. While it certainly helped in some of the more emotionally heavy scenes with like Nicole Kidman, I don't think it was particularly something to write home about.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I do think it should have been nominated. Again, I definitely don't believe it will win. You compare that to La La Land. Oh, it's like anything that has to do with music, La La Land's gonna win. Let's just I think we all agree there. Maybe even sound mixing, sound editing, but I think there was a hint of like Bollywood kind of sounds in their score that it was subtle, and they could have made that really obvious, and they didn't. And it just has this cultural feeling to it that I really appreciated, and it was very subtle that I had to listen out for to make sure I could hear it at times. And it's if you really it advanced the story better than the cinematography did, in my opinion, for sure.
Interesting. Okay. Well, those are all definitely good opinions. So what is your general summary of your opinion on the movie? Best thing, worst thing, and a score.
I don't know if I give a best and a worst. Just general opinion, it's a solid film. And the Weinstein Company, I know I kind of crapped on a little bit, but do go see it. Support Weinstein Company. They do a lot of great films. Overall, I gave it a 7.7 out of 10. It was a solid film. Nothing to write home about.
Yeah, that's definitely, I definitely agree with that. I don't see it winning any of the nominations it's nominated for. It has too much competition. I would say the best thing about it is probably the young Saru's performance. Really blown away by a kid that age, just being really believable. I would have rather seen him nominated for Best Supporting Actor, or like it won, but it would have been really cool because I thought he did a really good job.
Or I'm sorry, we have to give this guy credit. His Saru's brother,
Adopted brother.
Adopted brother, yeah,
Okay.
his adopted brother, not Gadu, excuse me. That scene where he starts hitting himself in the head was well acted, and I feel like he just generally played the out of touch brother really well. He didn't have enough.
What did you? So just a quick tangent on that. What did you think of that plot point? Like, do you think they gave that enough time? I thought it was a little. I thought it was a little weird. Took a bit of the focus. I don't think they gave it enough light of day to make it worthwhile.
Exactly.
Okay. Just wanted to know if you guys.
That's
had
what I
my
say.
opinion
If
on
he
that.
had been more of a tension-driven point, like he should have been, I could see him getting a little more attention.
Yeah, I'd say the opening half was a bit too long. Even though I really liked it, it was a bit too long. They could have taken some time out of that and gave some time to that story to kind of flesh it out. So that's a really good point. I like that a lot. But my final score would probably be a 6.5 out of 10. Decent, nothing super special.
Yeah, I would say 7.5 out of 10. Good. Has a few things that keep it from being great. I really like the first half. Sonny Pawar is the name of the kid who plays young Saru. Amazing. Although I don't think it ran long, but the fact that it did run so long almost took away from the second half because I was like, can we just go back and see more of these young Saru scenes? I thought those were a lot more special. Other quick negatives, I didn't necessarily buy the chemistry between Rooney Mara and Dev Patel. They were not together long enough for me to care about the relationship before they started fighting. I thought that was kind of a moot point of the movie. And while some critics called it emotionally manipulative, I'll admit the ending where like the mother and him like finally meet, it's powerful. So
Yeah, I mean that's the whole point of the movie is to come back to that. So it's a good scene. It's a good scene. Okay. Well, thanks so much for talking today, and thank you for watching. We'll talk to you later.